Have you ever had that feeling, that slow, creeping sense of burnout, where you just feel disengaged, almost like you're not quite yourself anymore? It's become such a common part of modern life. But what if that feeling isn't some kind of personal failure? What if it's actually a sign of something much, much deeper going on with our very sense of who we are? And this quote, wow, it just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? It really sets the stage for everything we're going to talk about. The idea here is that when we walk away from a job or even a community, it's not because we're not resilient enough. It's an act of self-preservation. You're protecting the very core of who you are. Okay, so let's get into this central idea here. We're going to look at a totally new way of thinking about what identity actually is. We're all taught to see it one way, but there's a much more useful, much more structural way to understand it. So, on the one hand, we have the common view, right? Identity is all about expression. It's who you are, what you believe, how you present yourself to the world, your personal brand. But what if we shift our perspective to a more structural view? The idea here is that identity isn't just for show. It's the internal architecture that lets you move through the world without falling apart. And this is the absolute key takeaway. Your identity is load-bearing. Just think about that. Like the frame of a house, it's the thing that's supposed to absorb all the stress and strain of daily life, the pressure from work, the friction from just existing. So your identity isn't just what you project, it's what holds you together. So what does having a strong internal structure actually do for you? Well, it's what lets you make coherent decisions. It's what allows you to hold on to your values over time, to look at a situation and recognize the right thing to do. And this one is huge. It lets you metabolize friction, to process challenges so they don't just pile up until you're completely exhausted. It helps you stay intact. All right, so if our identity is this vital, load-bearing structure, what happens when the systems we depend on, our jobs, our online communities, start chipping away at that very foundation? And this is one of the most powerful points in the whole argument. If you take away just one thing, let it be this: that worn-down, burnt-out feeling. It is not a sign that you failed. It's a sign that the system you're in has a major design flaw. It's a structural failure, not a personal one. And this is how that structural failure happens. Modern systems create these completely lopsided demands. They ask you to be flexible, but they offer you zero protection. They demand your loyalty, but they give you no real support. They hold you accountable for things you have no real authority to change. And they want you to be emotionally invested without giving you any real influence. This imbalance is exactly what grinds down our sense of self. This gives us a whole new way to define burnout. It's not about your personal gas tank running empty. It's a breakdown in coordination. The system is literally consuming your internal coherence, your ability to make sense of things, to connect your actions to your values, and it's doing it faster than you can possibly rebuild it. So when you see people pull back, when they stop giving it their all, it's not because they don't care anymore. It's a defense mechanism. It's self-preservation. Disengaging is often the last move someone has left to protect what remains of their load-bearing self from being totally hollowed out. Okay, so this idea of our identity being consumed by systems, it actually leads to an even bigger, more radical theory about where the whole concept of the self might be headed. It's a wild framework called Story Collaboration Identity Theory, or SICIT for short. SIT basically proposes this massive shift. It says that in our hyper-connected world, your identity isn't just yours anymore. It's co-authored. It actually emerges from the shared stories being told in the networks, the companies, and the social groups that you're a part of. And this table kind of maps out what that journey could look like. Think about it. You might start out as the sole protagonist, the hero of your own story. But as you join a group, you might become a supporting character. Then you move into being a collaborative author, actively shaping the group's story. And the final stage, you could become an integrated node in a kind of collective consciousness. Now, this idea doesn't come from nowhere. It builds on established psychology, like social cognitive theory, which says we learn and build our confidence by watching others. But SCIT takes a radical leap forward. Where the old theory focuses on the individual, SCIT says the main thing is the collaborative story. Other people are no longer just models you learn from. They become co-authors of who you are. Now, I know, hearing all this, it might be easy to feel a bit powerless, like we're all just being swallowed up by these big systems. But the theory reframes this whole situation. It's not an existential crisis, it's a design challenge. And that really brings us to the key question, doesn't it? Is this trajectory just inevitable? Are we all doomed to be consumed by these systems? Or do we actually have some say in how they get built? The argument here is that the core problem we're facing isn't just about technology or politics. It's deeper than that. We are living through a crisis where our very sense of self is being extracted, used as fuel for systems that don't give enough back. And that just isn't sustainable. And this pivot, this is everything. For so long, the question has always been pointed at the individual. Are you resilient enough? Are you gritty enough? This flips the script entirely. The takeaway here is that we need to start asking a different question. We need to point it at the system. Does this system actually help people stay whole, or does it break them apart? By asking these kinds of questions, we change our role completely. We're no longer just cogs in a machine or victims of a broken system. We become potential architects. And these aren't some fluffy philosophical questions. These are hard-nosed design questions about how we can build better, more humane systems that don't consume the people inside them. And this leaves us with a final, really powerful thought to chew on. Maybe the great challenge of our time isn't about inventing the next shiny tool. Maybe it's a crisis of coordination. Can we actually design workplaces, technologies, and communities that don't just use people, but that actively help them remain whole? Because the answer to that question is what's going to shape everything that comes next.